Have with us Dr. Mancuso, a client of ours, I think since 2016, if I remember
Yes.
correctly.
Mhm.
And thanks for taking the time to talk to us today about your practice and your marketing. We just had a couple questions for you that I think might be helpful to other dentists who are considering working with us, or maybe partners who are considering working alongside us. So first, tell me a little bit about yourself and your practice. You know, how long have you been practicing? When did you start? And what led you down the path to need to do something about your marketing?
Graduated in 2014. Went to Nova Southeastern in South Florida. And I was working down in South Florida for a while, down in Miami and in Boca, and was looking for an opportunity to purchase a practice. And there wasn't really a lot of opportunity down in South Florida. And through a friend, I found out about a doc who had had some health issues and was retiring in Tampa. And Tampa has been growing, so I figured I'd check it out. And it ended up working out, and that's how I ended up here. And he was old school, and he didn't even have a website. He didn't do any marketing. It was pretty much, the office was pretty much like the 80s still. So that's how I ended up here, and been with you guys since I think it was about 2016 after we took over.
Okay, so what do you think set your practice apart from the others in your area? Do you do any community outreach? Do you have any unique services? Anything you do to differentiate yourself?
I'm embarrassed to say right now that I don't. But the one thing that I've
Mhm.
noticed, which is kind of weird, is that we get emergencies or new patients in the same day. Like I guarantee that I'll see people the same day. And for some reason, there's docs in the area who have rigid schedules, I guess. I don't know. And they keep people waiting. So I just tell them, look, we'll see you the same day, even if you have to wait, even if you're only getting antibiotics. And people love it. And, we just have some schedule flexibility, and we're able to get people in the same day. And I think that's our like little secret sauce.
Well, that's definitely a differentiating factor. Some dentists just don't have the flexibility or the willingness to do that. I remember watching my dad take calls from patients. We would get yelled at if we didn't answer the phone properly. Like this is back when everybody had phones on the wall, and sometimes be a patient calling for an emergency. And so even if we were expecting a call from a friend, had to be polite and respectful on the phone because you never knew it could be a new patient. And those emergencies sometimes turn into, oh, I'm going to bring my whole family over and start referring people to you. You never know when you can win. So kudos to you for doing that. It takes a little bit of grinding to see people after hours or squeeze them in the schedule, but it's worth it, I think. What do you like best about being a dentist?
The procedures themselves, like especially on like emergency patients, like if they're in pain, taking out a tooth, getting them out of pain, and just how happy they are at the end of the appointment. But also like doing procedures like prepping crowns, taking out teeth. Like I can't like sit at a desk. I need to be doing something. So, doing something all day, doing procedures, also being able to have schedule flexibility, being, able to work, 4 days a week is like incredible. So I would say those are my top three.
Yeah, sitting at a desk all day sometimes does get grinding, I can tell you. How did you hear about us in the first place?
I heard about you guys on Dental Town. I was all in on Dental Town, basically trying to like learn stuff about, practice ownership. And I think I read a lot of your posts, and, I spoke to a few other offices that had used you guys. And I mean, I'm not just saying this because I've been a client for so long, like everybody had nothing but great things to say. So, um, reading stuff that you guys have posted, it was always like super professional. There was never like, sometimes there's like, people get into like arguments on those forums and it gets like ridiculous, but you guys are always super professional. And, past clients that I spoke to had nothing but great things to say. So it's like, these are the guys, try them
This is
out.
good. I remember when I first started the company, this is like 15 years ago or something. I remember going on Dental Town to try to advertise. And they were like, well, this is how much it costs. And I was like, I can't afford any of this. I've just started this company. I have no money. They're like, well, just go on the forums and be useful. And that was like 4,000 posts ago. But yeah, I think I was accused of fraud immediately by some other vendor. Dental Town's pretty brutal, but after you hang around for a while and you contribute, people tend to love you. And I probably spend more time on Dental Town than any other social network. I get like travel advice and stuff on there. It's actually become like part of my life, and it's useful. So what made you decide to look for a new website design? I guess you didn't have a website in the first place, or a marketing company. What was the point where you're like, I got to fix this?
I mean, honestly, it was right away. He didn't have anything. There was the sign for the office was so terrible. I mean, it was bad. And like one of the first calls I had with you guys, they had told me, look, we can give you like a quick like one page website in like I don't know like few hours, 48 hours or something crazy. And I was like, this is amazing. I could have a web presence like immediately. Um, there was no Google reviews. There was no nothing. So that sold it for me right there. And I basically, we moved that into doing marketing, and I wish I had done that sooner.
Well, better late than never. So what ultimately made you decide to pick Great Dental Websites? Did you consider, you don't have to name other companies, but did you look at other companies and decide not to work with them for some reason or another? What made you go with us?
Some of the other companies, some of their stuff seemed like super stock.
Hmm.
I didn't want to have the same thing as like any other office in town, even if it was an office in a different part of Florida. um, just being able to customize everything, it just it just it seemed to work well. And everybody that I dealt with so far has been super professional. So I mean, I spoke to a couple of other ones, a couple other companies, but you guys fit the bill.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear that. And I think you meant you do use our marketing services, which you started after you built the site. Which marketing services do you use, and how has that worked out for you? Have you seen a return on your investment?
For sure, it's worked out well. We're doing the SEO and the Google AdWords, and it's really the marketing is weird. Honestly, the SEO is like, I don't know. It's like voodoo black magic. I don't know what like even how they've explained it to me a million times. I still have no idea what's going on with it. But when we started, I had like started and then like had stopped, and I was like, okay, we're gonna do it. We're gonna commit 100%. Just give it some time. And when we started the Google ads, we noticed a bump right away within a couple weeks. And then the SEO, I mean, it was like I think about 6 months in, and then all of a sudden it was like a light switch went off. We just like got way busier. So I guess it takes some time to get going, but you read about it and you talk to people and they say, oh yeah, the SEO takes a while, but then one day it's like the floodgates opened.
So,
So yeah,
so what
SEO and
advice?
Google.
So that happens a lot. I can assure you, it's not black magic. We're not sacrificing goats or anything. It's usually just a lot of logistics and just time-consuming grinding to try to tweak settings on the website and build enough links back to where point where Google just starts looking at you as an authority. But it does typically take sometime at least 3 months and usually about 6. And so you kind of go through this like valley of uncertainty with clients where sometimes they panic, and we don't have any contracts, and so we do have like a small segment of clients who will just get completely cold feet and like cancel in month 2 and 3, and we're like, it's tracking, like it's so close, so just stay with it. But what advice would you give to clients who are kind of going through that, and they're like, I've spent money for like 2 or 3 months and it doesn't feel like this is ever going to work?
Yeah, you have to stick with it. You just have to do it. I mean, if I had I like, hindsight 2020. If I had done this much sooner, I mean, it would have been even better. But yeah, you got to stick with it. And I mean, we're in a suburb of Tampa, so I mean, it's saturated. I mean, I
Mhm.
guess, depending on your demographics, it may be different, but the sooner you get your name out there, I feel like you get a better reach, and it was worth it. I mean, I would say for sure my advice would be don't just start the SEO on its own, because it takes a few months. Do direct mail. We have a direct mail campaign also, and do Google ads, so that at least you have something going along with it, because it's a long game and a short game with the Google ads and the SEO.
Yeah, if you have enough budget to allocate to all those things, doing it once will give you a much more consistent flow of patients right from the beginning. When did you start using our marketing services?
When we went, I want to say 100% in November of 2020.
Okay. So you spoke a little bit to the impact about SEO. So walk us back to November 2020. What did your scheduling look like in your patient book, and what does it look like now?
Yeah, it was weird. Right after the pandemic, we had gotten slammed, and then it started to normalize again, and which I guess was pretty common with a lot of other offices from what I've seen
Yes.
online and read. But I, I, I forget exactly what had happened, but I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna turn on the market now. We're gonna go in just in case that this bump from the post-pandemic, like that summer craziness, like kind of dips down. And then we had gotten a bump on the Google ads, but I mean, within like 6 months, we had, I don't have the exact numbers, but it was close to, it was between 15 and 20% growth, like month over
Wow.
month. It was, and I track as much as I can when new patients come in. I made a special form for them to, fill out, or where they specifically, all the different choices where they found us. And I mean, everybody's finding us on Google, or they search the dentist near me, or whatever the keywords you guys use for the SEO, and it's crazy. I mean, it really, really, really had a big impact.
Any other advice or feedback you'd have for a prospective client considering working with us?
The fact that you guys, when you had mentioned you don't have, contracts, you guys go month to month, like that was a big deal also, because I have never honestly had a good experience with a company that tries to lock you in for like a year, um, because the service is just not as good, because they know that they have you locked in. But you guys have been great, and I hate, you know changing vendors for things when things
Hmm.
don't work out, and like to be able to, stick with you guys for a while, and have consistency, and everyone has, been super helpful and professional. I mean, it's been great. My only advice would be, if you guys are considering marketing to grow, do something comprehensive, and just be a little patient for the process to, run through, because it could take 6 months, and you can feel like you're wasting money, but you're just making an investment into it.
Well, thank you so much for your comments, Dr. Mancuso. I really appreciate you sharing with us today.
For sure. Thanks for having me.